How different our Old Testament reading is from our gospel today. Let's start with the Old Testament reading. This is an account of David and his son Absalom. Absalom was David's third son and his favorite. In the book of Samuel, Absalom is described as the handsomest man of his time. He's the sort of man who would appear today on the cover of People magazine as the sexiest man alive. He was also charming and ambitious, very ambitious. He was so ambitious, in fact, that he began to crave his father's throne, to crave it so much that he began to work to undermine the people's faith in his father's rule. It went so far that Absalom eventually turned completely against his father and led an armed revolt to overthrow him. King David had no choice but to fight back. He was forced to send an army to fight his own son's forces. But as we see in today's reading, David still loved his son very much, and he commanded his generals that Absalom himself should not be hurt. The battle that resulted was a complete victory for David. Absalom's army was crushed, with most of his men killed. Absalom tried to escape. He fled the battle by riding a donkey. As he rode through the forest, though, he caught his neck on the crook of a tree so that he was pulled off the donkey and dangled there helplessly between heaven and earth, as it says in the text, unable to free himself. That was where David's men found him. It was also where they killed him. Despite David's orders that his son should be spared, they killed Absalom as he hung there, unable to protect himself. Told what had happened to his son, David cried out in his grief, "Oh, Absalom, my son, Absalom, would that I had died instead of you. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son." Such poignant words. Do you hear the depth of the pain those words hold? David's beloved son had betrayed him, but his grief at his death knew no bounds. Compared with this powerful drama, today's gospel reading appears so calm. There is conflict here too, though, although in this case, the conflict is of words, not of swords or spears. When Jesus says, in a repeat of last week's reading, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry, and whoever trusts in me will never be thirsty." The religious leaders of the time challenge him. Who does he think he is, they ask. Who does he think he is? They know his parents, they say. They have seen him grow up, they say. He's a man like any other, they say. Who is he to claim to be the bread of life? How can these two texts possibly be related? They seem so different that they appear to be not just from different books, but almost from different religions. I find that this is often the case when I compare the Old Testament with the New. The Old Testament is filled with so much blood and struggle and betrayals, so much cruelty, suffering, pain, and loss. And almost every character in the Old Testament is deeply flawed. All are so human in their imperfections, their cravings, their selfishness, and their weakness. Almost no one in the Old Testament comes across as a moral example. In fact, the most upright man in the Old Testament is probably Job. And look what happened to him. The Old Testament presents such an unrelenting, dark view of humanity and of humanity's relationship with God that I have to admit that I sometimes wonder if it really connects with the message of the gospel at all. And yet, reading the two texts side by side today, I suddenly realized that the Old Testament and the gospel do connect. They connect in this way. The Old Testament is an account of the human condition. The New Testament is an account of humanity's hope. Even though the stories of the Old Testament may seem so foreign to us, the basic incidents described are all as common now as they were then. David's adultery with Bathsheba, which we read about a few weeks ago, the rupture of a family by estrangement of Absalom from his father David, David's deep grief at the loss of his son. All of these and so much else that happens in the Old Testament are as common now as they were then. The thing is, the Old Testament does not shy away from what are some of the darker aspects of our life on earth. The struggles, the misunderstandings, the greed, the betrayal, the suffering, the loss. But if the Old Testament shows us the problem, the New Testament shows us the solution. Yes, there is pain. Yes, there is suffering. Yes, there is misunderstanding. There are broken relations. There is conflict. But there is also hope. We are part of something larger than all of these. The human condition is not the end of all there is. There is something more. God is with us. What more do we need? Does this mean that we have only to trust in God to be spared the human condition? No. I wish it were true, but no. God gave us the gift of life, and suffering, misunderstanding, and loss are part of the package. But it does not stop there. Even if we cannot always be spared life's hardships, we do have God to sustain us through all of them. This is the great revelation that Jesus brought us. Jesus, the bridge between the human and the divine. Jesus, who endured our life and our suffering in order to reveal God's eternal and loving presence. Jesus, the connection between the human condition and humanity's hope. I am the bread of life, Jesus said. Whoever comes to me will not hunger. Whoever trusts in me will not thirst. Amen.